Hello everyone! Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Identity of alleged victim Kyle Chrisley, assaulted and threatened to kill. After learning Todd Chrisley's son Kyle was arrested for aggravated felony assault, fans of the reality TV family had a few simple questions. What was the identity of Kyle Chrisley's victim? What caused the assault to transpire? When the news broke last night, there wasn't any information available regarding who Todd Chrisley's son allegedly assaulted or why he allegedly assaulted them. Now, however, details of what transpired are starting to roll out. For starters, the identity of Kyle's alleged victim, whom he reportedly assaulted and threatened to kill, has been made public. So, who did he reportedly assault? Identity of Kyle Chrisley's alleged victim revealed. According to TMZ, a Smyrna PD officer has come forward with some details following Kyle Chrisley's arrest for aggravated assault. Per the alleged victim, Todd Chrisley's son was reportedly preparing to stab him with a fixed-blade knife prior to his arrest. Per the arrest warrant, obtained by TMZ, Kyle Chrisley allegedly threatened to stab and kill his boss. The report goes on to confirm Kyle's boss was battered and bruised. The arrest warrant identifies Devin Campbell as Kyle's alleged victim, claiming that, on Monday, Kyle struck Devin several times on both his face and his upper body. Per TMZ, the arrest warrant does not detail Kyle's motive for assaulting his boss. Kyle Chrisley's boss reportedly told police the reality TV alum wielded a fixed-blade knife that he threatened to stab and kill Devin with. The markings on Devin's arms, hands, neck, and head served as all the evidence the cops needed to issue an arrest warrant for Kyle. As TV shows Ace previously reported, Kyle Chrisley's mugshot was issued to the public. Unlike his parents' mugshots, which are not being made public per federal prison policy protecting their right to privacy. Moreover, TV shows Ace also reported that Kyle is no longer behind bars. He was released after posting his bail of $3,000. Kyle is scheduled to appear in court on March 20th. No additional information has been released at this time, and no one in the Chrisley family has issued a public statement regarding his arrest as of yet. When the news first broke that Kyle Chrisley, the often troubled son of Todd and Julie Chrisley, had once again landed in the headlines for a violent outburst, many assumed it would fade quickly into the background of his already complicated past. But this time, whispers began to swirl around the identity of the alleged victim, someone who was not just a nameless figure in a police report, but a person with a story of their own. The Chrisley family has been no stranger to scandal, but the newest allegation added a dark layer to their ongoing drama. According to reports, Kyle was accused of assault and making a chilling threat to kill the individual during a heated altercation. The big question that fans, critics, and curious onlookers wanted answered was simple: who exactly was the alleged victim? A tangled web of relationships. Kyle's life has been marked by turbulence, addiction battles, strained family ties, and public fallouts. So when rumors began swirling about the identity of the person on the receiving end of his rage, theories ranged widely. Was it a stranger? A former friend? Or someone even closer to the family's inner circle? In reality, sources revealed the victim was not some distant figure. The alleged victim was a man who had once been a close confidant of Kyle's, someone who had been in and out of his orbit during some of the hardest years of his life. This man, whose name was initially withheld for safety reasons, had been one of the few people who stood by Kyle when his relationship with his parents soured. He had driven Kyle to rehab, lent him money when he was struggling, and at one point, even gave him a place to sleep. But over time, the friendship soured, fueled by mistrust, alleged betrayals, and mounting frustration. The night it all changed. On the night of the incident, neighbors reported hearing a loud argument erupting in the street. Witnesses later said that Kyle appeared agitated, incoherent, and aggressive. According to the police report, Kyle allegedly shoved the man, pinned him against a wall, and then threatened to kill him if he ever crossed him. Described by those who know him as a quiet, hard-working individual, was reportedly shaken but not physically injured beyond minor bruising. Still, the words Kyle allegedly hurled at him left a mark deeper than any blow. "He told me straight to my face that I wouldn't live to regret what I'd done," the victim would later confide to investigators. "I believed him. In that moment, I thought he meant every word." Why the fallout? Speculation grew about what caused Kyle to snap. Those close to the situation suggested the fight was over money, a debt Kyle had allegedly refused to repay. Others hinted at something more personal: jealousy, betrayal, and the feeling of being abandoned by one of the few people he had trusted. Some fans of the Chrisley family wondered if Kyle's ongoing struggles with mental health and addiction had resurfaced, fueling his rage. Onlookers couldn't help but notice that his relationship with his father, Todd, had also been deeply fractured once again. Todd, currently navigating his own legal fallout, was said to be heartbroken but not surprised by the news. A haunting pattern. What made this incident particularly alarming was that it didn't come out of nowhere. Kyle had long carried the weight of a troubled past. Years earlier, he faced domestic violence charges related to his ex-girlfriend and mother of his daughter, Chloe. Though charges were eventually dropped, the shadow of those allegations has followed him for years. Now, with yet another violent accusation, many began to ask, was Kyle doomed to repeat the same destructive cycles? Or could this moment serve as a wake-up call? The victim speaks. In the weeks following the altercation, the identity of the victim was eventually revealed. A man named James R., a longtime acquaintance who had known Kyle for nearly a decade. James came forward reluctantly, insisting he didn't want to become a tabloid headline, but felt compelled to share his side of the story. "I never wanted it to come to this," James admitted in a statement. "Kyle is someone I once considered a brother. I've watched him struggle. I tried to help him, and I know deep down he's not a monster. But that night, he was not himself. He was dangerous, and I honestly thought he might follow through on what he said." James also expressed compassion, despite being the target of Kyle's alleged rage. "I don't hate him. I don't even want him locked up forever. I want him to get real help that sticks this time. Because if he doesn't, I fear someone else will end up in my position or worse." The Chrisley family reacts. The Chrisleys have always been known for their strong public presence, whether through reality television or through Todd's larger-than-life personality. But when asked about Kyle's alleged attack, the family's response was notably muted. Savannah Chrisley, Kyle's outspoken sister, addressed the situation briefly on her podcast. "It's heartbreaking," she admitted. "Kyle has demons that none of us can fight for him. He has to face them himself. That doesn't excuse what he did, but it does explain the pain he's living in. My prayers go out to the man who was hurt by all of this." Todd, who has often clashed with Kyle, released a carefully worded statement through a family representative. "As a father, it breaks my heart to see my son struggle in this way. Violence is never the answer, and we condemn it in all forms. We hope the courts will consider the whole picture when addressing this matter, and we continue to pray for healing for everyone involved." A question of redemption. The unfolding case left many wondering whether Kyle Chrisley could ever escape the shadows of his past. Could he reinvent himself, or would he forever be chained to the reputation of being the family's black sheep? For James, the alleged victim, the path forward was also uncertain. He has reportedly relocated to a quieter part of town, fearful of another confrontation. Still, he insists that while he wants justice, he doesn't want Kyle destroyed. "We all have breaking points," he said. "But if Kyle doesn't confront his, he's going to end up breaking more than just relationships. He's going to break lives, including his own." The larger lesson. In the end, the identity of the alleged victim was not just about putting a name to a police report. It was about shining light on a relationship that once carried the promise of loyalty, but instead unraveled into bitterness and violence. The Chrisley family, already battered by public scrutiny, now faces yet another painful chapter. Kyle, the once charming son who had hoped to repair his life, must now reckon not only with the law, but with the ghosts of his past mistakes. And for James, the man caught in the crossfire, the hope is simple that telling his story will be the push Kyle needs to finally confront the darker parts of himself before it's too late.